So yeah, I'm kind of really interested in social innovation and change, and that interest of mine kind of came about through getting involved in the startup world. So a lot of what I'm going to be talking today is focused around technology, but really what I want to talk about today is like the whole theme of today is mobilizing citizens to take more sustainable action. So I'm kind of going back to why we need to do that and how we can bring about that change. So it's all about consumption. So if we go back to where the problem started, if you go back to kind of World War II, back in the days when our grandparents were knocking about, everyone kind of grew their own food, or else they bought their food locally. They didn't throw out clothes when they got a few holes in them, they mended them. And that's the sort of lifestyle that our grandparents grew up with. Then World War II hit in, and post-war, it came back to money. So the problem was that there wasn't enough money knocking around. So governments started this, I suppose, putting out all this media and advertising, almost like propaganda, to try and get us consuming more so that it would kickstart the economy. And so what happened was that we got into this mode of hyper-consumption, and we built this whole, in the 50s, this whole kind of throwaway culture. So instead of having your Ford Model T car that would last a lifetime, you were told, okay, if you want to have status, you need to kind of buy new things. And the more things that you own, the better your status. So and this was all brought about through the media and really subtle propaganda through the promotion of kind of radio and TV. We saw this kind of thing where all of a sudden everyone wanted stuff, okay? And we all want too much stuff, and this is the problem. So why do we need so much stuff? It's because we've been told that we need it. We've been told that we should work hard, we should get a job so that we can buy more things. Then we realize that the more things that we own, that, you know, we have to stay in that cycle of earning loads of money so that we can pay for all of this stuff. And the problem that I see is that this hyper-consumption, it's not sustainable. We can't keep buying cars that we need to renew every year. We can't keep buying refrigerators that break down after 2 years. And so manufacturing changed as well. Manufacturers changed from making products that lasted a lifetime to making products that only lasted a year or two. And so the thing that we're seeing now is that we've got technology. So this is my little computer. Fantastic artist. So what technology has done now, it's changed the way that we communicate, and it's giving us power. So as I said, back in the day, our grandparents used to have this awesome little communities and local communities that they worked from. Technology now is shifting the way that we think, the way that we, I suppose, communicate with each other, and also it's changing the way that we consume. So instead of hyper-consumption, which is where we've come from the 50s, we're getting to this place called collaborative consumption. Okay, and what I mean by collaborative consumption, how many of you have heard of collaborative consumption? Okay, so Rachel Botsman, in her TED Talk, she talked about the fact that, well, she talked about a couple of things. One of the ones that was really good is that she watched, she loved 24, which is the show with, what's his name, Kiefer Sutherland? And somebody bought her the box set, and she watched it once, but then she knew how it ended, and then she had this box set on her shelf. And how many of us have DVDs or CDs or books at home that we don't use? Yeah. And so technology is enabling a change in this. So now that you've got all of this stuff, there's places where you can swap items. So this is about enabling people to kind of get value. So again, getting value out of the stuff that we own. And the only way that I see about bringing about a real change is by solving problems. And so if we solve real world problems, which is where startup world comes in, then we're going to change the way that people consume. And so by solving problems that people have, you'll kind of inadvertently change the way that they go about sustainable actions. So I'm going to do this. Woo! There you go. You can have that one. Okay, so the whole thing is that we need to kind of move away from this thing where we buy a lot of stuff and then move to somewhere where we share. And there's some really good examples of this in Australia at the moment. So go get, okay? You've got yourself a car. Why do we all need to own a car? We don't. Why do we need to own a car that we change every 2 years? We don't. So go get, or any of the kind of get around or anything like that, these are enabling us to take more sustainable actions by solving a problem that we have. I have the problem that I don't have enough money to buy a car, whereas you may have the money to own a car, but maybe you're only using it an hour a day. So you've got this idling capacity of 23 hours a day where you've got this car that could make you money, but like we're just not thinking about things clearly. So by solving problems that people have, I need a car, but I only need it for an hour a week. You've got a car and you don't use it for 90% of the time. So by using these kind of connections, we're bringing people together, we're creating communities, and we're empowering people to take more sustainable actions by solving problems. So GoGet is a really good example of car sharing. We've also got another Aussie one. So J-Ride, so music festivals, okay? Music festivals or big events that you're going to, say up in Byron Bay, I think was the Blues Fest was on recently. So many people are going to that, just one or two people. Why do we all need to go in separate cars? You know, if I'm going to drive up there and meet some friends up there, I've got 3 spare seats. If I bring 3 people with me, then not only do these 3 people kind of get a ride, but I only have to spend 1/4 of the amount on fuel. So it's about solving my problem. I get to go there cheaper. Other people get to go there without having to use other forms of transport. And it's about, again, leveraging that power of community. And that's even, okay. I'm such an artist. So Zookal. Zookal is another Australian startup. And these guys are really clever. They just basically allow you to rent university books instead of buying them. So you're saving the problem. Students don't have money. The money that they do have, they want to spend on beer. They don't want to spend it on books. And you only need them for a year. And like, what's the point in everybody buying them and having this massive amount of books created that just will go idle? Why not just empower people to kind of share these books? And there's another one as well. What is it? Ah, yeah. Open Shed. And this is like one of the ones that I'm really fond of because it kind of throws you back to community and the way communities used to be. So Rachel Botsman's used this example of you're hanging a picture in your house and you need a drill. Okay, no, you don't need a drill. You need the hole in the wall. Why do you have to own the drill? If you live in an apartment block of 3,000 apartments, why do you need 3,000 drills? Why not have one drill that everyone can borrow? And that's the way people used to do it. We've been led to believe that we need to own stuff. So again, I want to kind of empower people to realize that you don't need stuff to be successful. That's not what it is. And we're kind of seeing this massive shift in the way that we consume and why we consume. And this comes back to community. And for me, it's the only way to kind of get people to take really sustainable actions is by empowering them. And a lot of these organizations have really good communities behind them. Like Airbnb that was mentioned earlier, they've got like these amazing collaborative communities where everyone eggs each other on. And it's kind of funny, it's gotten to the point now where it's more trendy to share and rent stuff than it is to own stuff. And people go around going, yeah, I don't own a car, I don't own a house, I don't need to do this, like I don't own anything. And we appreciate that more as the next generation. For me, I like having no stuff because that enables me to do anything that I want. I'm not trapped by owning a car, I'm not trapped by owning a house. If I want to quit my job and go travel, I can do that. And I think people are waking up to the fact that the more stuff that you own, it ends up owning you. So why not create this massive culture of people in these communities where you just share the stuff that's needed, and that frees us up And again, it comes back to money. We won't need all that money. We won't need to work the long hours that we're working if we don't all have to own stuff. And so another one that is, so this is my own startup. And so Mule is basically a social travel website. So every year there's about 1 billion tourist trips taken every year. And every day there's like, I think 2.5 million packages delivered around the world. Why not, when you're taking your next journey, deliver something to a local, and then in return they'll reward you with a local experience. So you're saving packaging, you're saving delivery across the world, you're using the power of people's existing journeys, and then you're also benefiting yourself at the same time, because when you arrive in that city, you're not a tourist, you've got a friend. You've got somebody who let you sleep on their couch or will show you around town. So you're solving the tourist problem, and you're also solving the problem from the point of view of the local. Because sometimes you might want something from the US that won't get shipped here, or else it's going to cost a fortune. So it saves you money, it saves the environment, and it also helps me because then I've got a local connection in the city that I travel to. So for me, anything like this that empowers people to do good, but you're kind of sneaky about it because you're solving their problems, so you're kind of inadvertently making them sustainable. And so for me, it's about empowering people to do it for themselves. And then once they realize that what they're doing is sustainable, they get all like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then people at this stage in technology have a massive, massive voice that they've never had before. I like to call it like the power of one. Before, if you had a really good opinion you wanted to share, you had this really small circle of people that you could share it with. Now we've got Twitter, we've got Facebook, we've got Google+, which nobody uses, and we've got all of these other things, but never before in history has one person had so much power to change. So if I love Airbnb, I'll tell not just 5 people around me about it, I'll tell the 1,000 people that follow me on Twitter. So by creating these little communities where people can create change and then use their social networks to spread these ideas, that's where we'll bring about really sustainable change. And that's pretty much what I wanted to say.